Yes, this is another video hating on the new Quibi service. But stay tuned, I'll tell you why. I'll be back in a Quibi.
I'll be out in a Quibi, Kendall.
I'll go for a Quibi.
Give me a Quibi.
Just a Quibi.
Now, before we start, if you don't know what Quibi is, let me quickly explain what it is. Quibi is the new service from Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman. You may know Jeffrey Katzenberg from DreamWorks and Meg Whitman from eBay. Now, the new service is trying something different, points for trying. It effectively is content which is 10 minutes or less. Anyone who's got a quick break at work or on the bus, or they're sitting around having their lunch, it's designed for these people in mind, which they might have a Quibi break and watch the show. So the name Quibi, apart from being a stupid name, actually stands for quick bites. Put them together, that's what we get. We get a hamburger. Jeffrey Katzenberger gave us a hamburger of a name. Yes, he did. Burger. I'm hungry now. Now, it's important to understand exactly the point of this service. And I'm actually going to make a distinction, which is something that Katzenberg and others have been trying to avoid. It's all about their audience. Which market are they trying to fall into? So these are real shows. They've got real budgets. They've got high quality, 4K, slick production value, and they've also got big name stars. But here's the distinction. I see this as less as the next evolution of film and more of an attempt to go after YouTube's user base. You see, these being shorter videos are something more like what we saw on YouTube. When we have a quick break and we want to quickly watch something, a lot of us will go onto YouTube. So to me, this really isn't a competitor for regular movies and TV shows, and more of a competitor, using the word competitor loosely here, as a competitor to YouTube, which is also designed for smaller content. The fatal flaw for me, however, is that YouTube is designed so that anyone can create content. Rather than having a walled garden for the old school cinema studio system, you see, for me, this reeks of the studio systems trying hard to fit in with the cool kids. They want to sit on the cool kids' table. But the success of YouTube is just that. Anyone can have a voice. As YouTube used to say, broadcast yourself. But to really understand this system, let's dive deeper. So let's break down what the existing cinema system is. This is something that we're all used to, movies and TV shows. But the fundamental difference for me here is that the shows that we watch and the movies that we watch, the reason why they're the length they are, is that it takes time for us to understand the story, fall in love with the characters, really understand the journey we're going on. And this can take time to develop these. This could be a 90-minute movie where we're taking our time to understand the characters. Or it could be a TV series where over that series, we spend our time trying to understand the story and the characters over that period. When you're working with content that is less than 10 minutes, it's harder to create a connection with the audience in that time. Not to say it can't be done. You see, this is nothing new. In fact, this was how movies actually started out, as shorter content, short films, if you will, where films were effectively a sideshow, where people would go in and watch this content for a couple of minutes and leave. And that's how it was. Even the original Mickey Mouse films were short, a couple of minutes in length, that's it. But over the decades, this shorter content grew to what we have now, where we found the perfect length for most people to be able to sit down and enjoy a movie and really get invested in that film. Now, the next distinction is that this is mobile only, which means it's not trying to necessarily replace the current cinema experience. And that's where a lot of us, especially us that are into YouTube, will watch a lot of our content. And that's not if we're on social media on our phones or playing a game on our phones. Another one of their selling points is that the footage is in 4K. Now, my first response to this is, why? Seriously, what's the point of 4K footage when we're watching on a screen this big? Personally, I don't see many benefits to this at all. Most of us are watching footage on our phones in HD, and some of us are even watching it in standard def, and in most cases, it looks fine. They're not going to watch content and expect an immersive experience on their phone, especially when these videos are only 10 minutes long. So if I address the elephant in the room here, yes, this is a paid service, which means you can pay $5 with ads. That's right, with ads. Or you can pay $8 without ads. Really, just scrap the ads, we don't need them. If you're paying for a service, last thing you want to do is have an ad in your face. So hopefully this is something that can be addressed. And finally, my last point is that the footage is meant to be able to fit in landscape or portrait. And I think this is probably one of their major flaws and something they might end up going back on later on. We saw with IGTV, when Instagram brought that out, where this was meant to be vertical only, and most people ended up just rotating their content 90 degrees. And this effectively forced IGTV to change that restriction. Now, even though this Quibi service allows for both, I think for 99.9% of people, they'll watch it in landscape. You know, when I watch content in portrait mode, I feel like I'm boxed in, especially when you can turn the video around 90 degrees and see a lot more of that image. So I can't help but feel, when it's in portrait mode, that I'm missing out of the full image. Now, this service doesn't seem like it's something that's going to take off. They've only had 300,000 subscribers, and that's with mobile carriers including it as a package with their service. So I personally don't think that this is something that will necessarily stick around too long. However, we might be looking at this video in 2 years, and I might be thinking how stupid and naive I was for feeling this way, but I seriously don't think so. As it stands today, this really doesn't excite me. If I want to watch short form content, I'll be happy to watch short films. I'll go onto YouTube and watch my favourite YouTubers. You see, to me that seems more exciting than watching some famous person do a skit or a video on TV. YouTube has given people a voice, and it's shown Hollywood that there's another way. And to me, this just feels like Hollywood's trying to have more control over what we watch. So what are your thoughts? If you really like this idea, let me know. You might have your own reasons why you like it, and make sure you include those down below. Or are you with me, where you'll be Quibi very quickly? Anyway, other than that, make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell, be awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.